Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this week's show, we're going to be talking about all the Disney Plus news, and there was quite a lot this week. So we're going to be talking about Godmothered. We're going to be talking about some brand new shows, including the return of The Quest. We're also going to have the return of Disney Fairy Tale Weddings. We're going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're going to be talking about our thoughts on Lamp Life and the new Short Circuit shorts. They've all come on there. Plus, we'll be talking about Clone Wars and a load of other bits and pieces. But before we go any further, make sure you do hit that subscribe button on either the YouTube or also on podcast services, because all makes a big difference if you can kind of get caught up with all of the episodes. And also, if you are on the Diz Kingdom feed, you might start seeing some of these episodes starting to pop up there as well, just in the middle of while I'm sorting out something there. So big thank you also to some of the Patreons as well. So big thank you to Andrew, also Giuseppe, also Julie, and What's on Netflix, and also a big welcome to some of our new dollar tier patrons as well. All of your support really does make a difference in making sure that this podcast can continue each week, because it does actually cost money to create these things. So even if you can throw in $1 a month, that will make a massive difference. So let's jump into some of the news. And as expected, last week we did record 2 days early because of time scheduling, and that day there was tons and tons of news. So there's a lot of stuff from last week that we didn't cover, but let's jump first off into all of the news from the last week or so. So up first, production has begun on the new Disney Plus movie Godmother. They've now officially confirmed it. They've also confirmed that Gillian Bell will be playing the Godmother, and also Isa Fisher will be playing a role of a mother too. This one is going to be set at Christmas time, and it's all about Eleanor, a young and inexperienced fairy godmother in training, who, upon hearing that her chosen profession is facing extinction, decides to show the world that people still need fairy godmothers. Finding a mislaid letter from a 12-year-old girl in distress, Eleanor tracks down and discovers that the girl, Mackenzie, is now a 40-year-old single mum working at a news station in Boston. Having lost her husband several years ago, Mackenzie has all but given up on the idea of happily ever after, but Eleanor is bound and determined to make Mackenzie give her a happiness makeover, whether she likes it or not. Now, this definitely changed that official description from what we've had before, which has been, our descriptions we've had before have been kind of on close, but this really did kind of set it out. This is a Christmas movie set in modern times. It looks like it's got nothing to do with Cinderella in the slightest. It might not even be the fairy godmother that we know. It's just she is a fairy godmother, and going to be like a modern. The question is this going to be ready for this Christmas or next Christmas? I would expect this Christmas that they've started filming now.
They're going to want to do it for this Christmas, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be some special effects,
Yeah.
magic, godmother, maybe some flying, bibbity bobbity, and then sparkles and stuff. But it shouldn't be that intensive.
No.
And obviously, they want movies for Christmas. Christmas is when you get the family around and you put on the kind of feel good, happy movie, which, I mean, obviously they're aiming for with this. So I'd be very surprised if this was not a 2020 movie.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this one sounded good. I'm kind of liking the fact now that it's actually that description is completely taken away from Cinderella, and kind of it's like, okay, they're just going for a movie with a fairy godmother rather than she is the fairy godmother. And
although she could be,
but the fact that it's set in modern times as well, with her being like a news reader in Boston, kind of completely changes it up, because now, Cinderella was set back in the 1800s, so she can't be in training. So it's like, I think this could be a really nice just family movie for Christmas, and hopefully it's better than Noel.
Well, I mean, Noel was perfectly fine. Not a great movie, but it'd be nice to have it step up from that. Still, we'll wait and see how it develops, who else is going to be in the movie, all that. But yeah, it sounds interesting, and I agree. I'm kind of glad that they're using the godmother name to kind of raise awareness for it, but keeping it away from Cinderella. We don't need Cinderella 3, The Enchanted Christmas or whatever. I realized that was Beauty and the Beast, but that's not the point.
Yeah, I mean, there's also been a lot of other talk this week, a lot about like a new Peter Pan and Wendy movie that might be coming to Disney Plus. Lots of speculation and rumors going around there. There was one that Margot Robbie has been offered the part. Personally, I'll be honest, I can't see that happening, especially if it's a Disney Plus movie. She's in really high demand. She's up for Oscars. I can't imagine she'd want to do a straight to streaming service movie right now, regardless of what role it was. Just being totally honest, is like, yeah, she might be offered the role, but I think she's going to want to have something a bit more meaty than Tinkerbell.
I mean, you never know.
No.
There is something iconic about the Tinkerbell
Yeah.
role, but I have to agree. If it's going to a streaming service, there's still this idea that, you know, it's not real movies. It's the modern generation of straight to television. But you never know. And if Disney's serious about it, they could throw the kind of money at her that they need to get a name like Margot Robbie involved.
Yeah, I think it should be interesting to see where they go. I mean, they've not officially confirmed this Peter Pan and Wendy movie yet, because I would imagine they wouldn't want to do that anyway, because Fox have got, I say, they get out of that habit. 20th Century Studios will be bringing out the Wendy movie at the end of this month, so therefore they might not want to get too much confusion within the audience that there's another live action thing involving Wendy involved. So that'll be my guess for that one. Jumping into some other news, Disney was at the Real Screen Summit in New Orleans this week and announced a number of new shows coming to Disney Plus. So they include a National Geographic documentary series called Meet the Chimps, which is going to be based in Chimp Haven, which is a place in Louisiana. It's like a 200-acre refuge for chimpanzees. I think it's basically going to be like cameras on them and showing off what they're doing, and just kind of maybe like a spy camera, just giving us an idea of what's going on. And I actually thought that one sounded quite cool.
You can't argue with that. It really depends on how they do it, but like you said, it kind of a spy cam secret, or not secret, but you know, overview, kind of not up close, but you can get a broad view of what's going on. I kind of like the idea of that. But we've got quite a few series like that. There's one on the minute on the BBC and they've got these little cameras. For me, the thing is with these movies, I mean, it's a 6-part series. It really depends on the narration of how this goes down for me. You know, if they aim that narration too young and kind of make it almost, you know, they're trying to tell a story too much, it can become a little bit annoying as an adult viewer. But hopefully they can get that line. The fact that it's based in a real sanctuary and stuff rather than in the wild, it depends. That's one issue sometimes with Disney doing this, is sometimes the narration can be quite lowness, and we've talked many times about the difference in sort of narration with Disney versus what I'm used to in the UK. Some other series as well. They've got a new untitled Pixar Spark Shorts like documentary series where they're going to be discovering new talent and so on, and kind of showing how they make the movie or these shorts and stuff. I'm really hoping we're getting more shorts to go along with this, because they kind of did the extras already, and it kind of feels like, well, you've already done your 6. You're going to need to give us something more than that. You can do a whole series about how you spend longer on the series on making it than actually making it. It's like, we'll talk about that in a bit. I mean, the credits were longer than the shorts were.
Yeah, we're going to we'll talk about shots, but the short circuit ones later on. But I think some more behind the scenes stuff is good. I definitely think there's an audience for that. It's generally cheaper content for them to make, but they've got to make it interesting, because if it's just fluff, that's going to you can't do a whole series on that. I mean, it's like, I'll be honest, like One Day at Disney, I haven't watched that for weeks because it just felt like an advert for human resources. But it was just like, I've
actually been enjoying their fluff pieces, but they are a nice little glimpse. And I think they have moved a little bit away from welcome to your job at Disney, where you will be working. And you get a much better view of kind of behind the scenes stuff. Just don't take it too seriously. Obviously, they're portraying the most.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the custodials as well. People that have to work in the bathrooms for the entire time at a park. But nevertheless, they've also announced a new competition series called The Maze, which is going to be filmed. There's going to be 5 teams, one adult and one teen relative, going on a mind-bending proportion series of they'll be solving riddles and deciphering clues as they guide them through European cities and fairy tale villages. In each episode, characters reveal information to participants, pushing them onward and closer to their final destination, where they all have to convene and solve the maze. I quite like the idea of this. It depends if they go down the fantasy line or if they just keep it as a competition. I've always loved things like The Amazing Race, and I think some of the people from that are involved in this one. Recently, the BBC did one like this where there was a load of people racing from the UK to Singapore, and they kind of had no money and all the rest of it. So I quite like these kind of race around the world type shows. So it depends how they do it. But this one definitely caught my attention, but we're going to have to wait and see a little bit more. What did you think?
I'm not really a reality TV viewer, and that includes The Amazing Race, Survivor, Big Brother, all these things. So this is not really of much interest to me. I'll check out the first episode or two, obviously, so we can talk about them.
Yeah.
But this is, this is not my cup of tea.
And then also we have got the return of The Quest, which originally was on ABC back a few years ago. It's going to be filmed in a castle outside of Vienna, Austria. It's an innovative reality competition which takes place in the fantasy world of Everrealm, where they compete in an unfolding drama where they encounter mystical beings and magical encounters that rival their favorite books in a fully immersive 360-degree world with practical effects, scripted characters who interact with them. It's being created by the people that are behind Lord of the Rings, and The Amazing Race and Queer. They've definitely got some big people involved in this one. I've seen some trailers. I went back and watched some of the trailers from the first series just to kind of get an idea, because this series I don't even remember it coming to the UK because they only had one season and was gone. Looks a bit corny to me. I remember watching I don't think you had it, but we had a show when I was a kid called Nightmare, where it was like a virtual reality thing where they put a helmet on and they played these stories and stuff. And it just was, I never really liked it because it was like a role-playing game kind of thing. And I've just watched this thing here and I'm going, watching these trailers go, oh, this looks okay. I'm going to have to wait and see what this one is, because this one's quite a hard, I don't know. It's definitely going to be fun to see what they do with this one. I'm definitely liking the idea of maybe taking some of the shows that maybe haven't worked on television and seeing if they can kind of rejuvenate them a little bit. But yeah, this one definitely was not something you would have never predicted they would have brought back a game show from 6 years ago.
I don't remember it at all. I'd never heard of this show ever at all. So it's not a coming back for me. It's a brand new show.
Yeah.
Again, give it a shot, see what it's like. But yeah, Disney Plus is a good place for them to revive these shows and give them another shot, especially since shows like this aren't particularly expensive to make, so they're very low risk. And honestly, they need the content right now. I know it's right now, but
well, yeah, I'm actually we'll do that in a second. But I just want to bring up the thing about The Maze and also The Quest. Two very important things there, where both of these series are being filmed in Europe, and this is a key thing that they are going to have to do a lot more of, because in order to run in a streaming service in Europe, they have to film like a certain percentage, I think it might be between 20-30% of the content available on the platform has to have been filmed somewhere in Europe. Doesn't necessarily mean within the European Union. So as long as they're in, UK or Norway, as long as it's somewhere in the Europe, there's a special group of them that all these countries have joined together to kind of help protect our interests. It's the same thing that happens in lots of countries and stuff, where it's like, well, if you want a big American company to come in, they have to promise to make a certain amount of content to protect, our jobs and all the rest of it, because otherwise, if our entire television is taken over by Amazon, Netflix, and Disney, then we don't get any of our own content. So there is reasons for this. And the minute I saw these two being filmed in Europe, I'm like, tick, tick. It was like, you just clocked up some hours and you've got shows specifically made in Europe. So I thought that was good. And generally as a whole, I think 4 new series, they definitely need that information out there about content coming to Disney Plus, because right now, I'll be honest, Disney Plus is taking a bit of a hit in terms of there's a lot of like, right, there's a lot of people canceling, but there's also a lot of people just generally a little bit disappointed right now with Disney Plus, because I think the honeymoon period maybe has kind of come to the end bit where people are starting to go, well, hold on a minute, what's going on here? There's nothing on it. You know, if you joined in for the Mandalorian and that ended a few weeks ago, now it's like, yeah, if you got it, you know, they're logging in to see what's on there, and January was dry. I mean, yesterday for the new releases on Disney Plus, I will be completely honest, I thought it was pathetic. I was like, going, wow, a Marvel hero project, and a Diary of a Future President was the actual only full length episodes we got yesterday. Everything else was shorts, and I was like, that's a really weak. That was a really weak week of just like, they've got to do more than this. They've got. I mean, obviously today it's the first. We have got a couple of new movies. We've got Big Business. We've got Around the World in 80 Days, and 2 new seasons. The first 2 seasons of Wicked Tuna, which I kind of want to check out. And then tomorrow we're going to be getting Descendants, but I'm going to go through that a little bit more later. But I'll be honest, it's like that was, and people are, you know, when I'm saying, you know, the amount of comments coming in afterwards is like going, is that it? Where is it? Where's all the? And then some people are going, where's Falcon and all that? Yeah, that was never coming straight away, but they really have like gone really way too low on what's available in January. I know we had The Lion King, but that was a really big movie.
I wouldn't count The Lion King, honestly, or Aladdin for that matter. They are very big movies, but nobody's subscribing to Disney Plus to get Lion King or Aladdin, especially the live action versions. If you really want to see them, it's much more economical to get them from Redbox or stream them off Amazon, something like that. Just rent them. People subscribed for basically 2 reasons: Mandalorian and High School Musical. I'm going to lump them together because kind of different audiences, and then people who want the back catalog items. Rewatching Gargoyles and Raven's House and the Disney classics. That second group, fine. There's so much content in terms of back catalog; they'll be good for a long time. But that first category, once the Mandalorian's done, but where is it? I mean, the Clone Wars will get people, but it's not. It's more for people who are waiting for the Clone War, who've been waiting for these Clone War stories to end. They want that additional information, but it's not a system seller.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, the other night where I was at my games club and we were all playing our Star Wars Legion miniature game. So there's about 15 of us kind of Star Wars nerds all talking. And there was a load of them talking about, and it's funny because obviously we're in the UK, so Disney Plus isn't out. There's a few of them that have got hold of the Mandalorian, and they're talking about Disney Life and all the rest of it. And they're talking about, I've not watched Clone Wars. But it's coming on this Disney Plus thing, and they want to watch it. And some of them going, I haven't seen any of them. And it's like, we are guys that go out and we're playing with Star Wars stuff. We're spending money every single month on new stuff with Star Wars, and some of them haven't seen them. And it's the thing. I think the Clone Wars is going to be a good, solid 3 months of Star Wars content. I think it's for Star Wars fans. I think that's good. I think that will keep the Star Wars fans happy. But if you're after a live action drama or anything like that, it's not going to hit that mark. But yeah, Disney are really light right now. I know they're going to keep building up and they're going to keep bringing stuff in, but this would have been an opportunity time, I think, to have a bigger use of the library to kind of build it out. And this is where I keep saying about bringing episodes from the television on straight. If you were bringing that on there, we would have been having new content dropping every single week regardless. And I do think they're going to have to get to do that soon, because I'll be honest, this week's lineup was really weak, and they can't do that too often because people are going to drop off. I mean, I literally, like this week, I've watched Lamp Life. That's the only thing I've watched. That's not good 3 months into the service being available.
Yeah, I watched a little bit more because I wasn't there for last week's drop. But even if you add on last week's drop, all you really get are the Spark shorts, and that was about it. And other than that, I've been kind of filling it out with National Geographic's documentaries and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I do think that it's really low. They need more, and I know that they needed to bring more time in. Maybe had they held off Disney Plus until summer of this year, it would have been like 111. But there's that kind of thing right now where they needed something a bit more hit, because the weekly people dropping in. This might be one of the reasons why they tried signing up Americans for so long for that year deal to get people signed in. So when this time next year comes in, of when you're going, your subscription ends, you're going, oh yeah, I'm getting this and I'm getting that and I'm getting this. So it's fine. I've been watching loads, but yeah, I have been getting, a lot of people sort of kind of going, is this it? But let's jump now into what's coming up in February to kind of give us an idea of what they've got lined up, because I think February feels a little bit like a reset month, because like I said, we've got quite a few things coming in. So we've got a few movies which I just mentioned. We've got Descendants 3 dropping in the US on Sunday, which I kind of want to watch. Toy Story 4 drops on February the 5th, which we knew about. Then we're going to get the continuation of, like, next week is still Diary of a Future President and Marvel Hero Project, but we do get Timmy Failure Mistakes Were Made next week. So we are getting a brand new movie, which I'm looking forward to. This one, the more I see of the trailers, I think this one could be a lot of fun. Then we've got a few classic movies being put on there again: Splash, O Dogs, My Dog the Thief, and Because of Winnie Dixie. Never heard of that one. Big one, I think this one's going to be really popular. Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings is going to be starting on Valentine's Day. Brand new series coming to Disney Plus. It's only available on Disney Plus. It's not going to be on Freeform. Well, they might put it on there eventually. But we're getting a new wedding show every week. I think that's going by the reactions that I saw on social media, this was one of the most popular stories I've had for a long time. This one's really going to hit the audience well. If you're into this is a big series to bring in for Disney, I think.
It's kind of funny because it's definitely like direct target on the audience. I think a lot of people who would have signed up for Disney Plus, the 3-year deal or the year deal that you were talking about earlier, they're obviously we are obviously the hardcore fans. We're the Disney, we love it. So yeah, the idea of a Disney wedding appeals to. I'm not really a wedding person, honestly, so it's not. But still, the whole point is it's. It is fluff, but it's the correct kind of fluff to draw in the audience. And as I mentioned in the past, my sister got engaged at Disney, so there's at least a certain, like, oh yeah, people do this, and I know they've got their own pavilion where you can have a wedding or you can have your engagement photos, and there's a huge somehow. And it's not that hard to figure it out, since so many of the early Disney movies were based on romantic, Prince Charming finding the love of his life, and the princesses finding Prince Charming, etc. So there's always this romantic quality. So it might not be The Mandalorian. It might not be, that kind of draw where people will be coming in droves to see it. But the people who are already here, I think it's a great, like, oh, no, we have something to watch again. We'll sit on the couch. You sit on the couch with your loved one. You watch this on, sometime the weekend, and you get to enjoy the happiness of it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big hit. I think this is going to be a very popular series. I have watched a couple of the episodes. I think they're very well done. That whole kind of like bachelorette kind of style filming, it reminds me of it, not necessarily in the reality TV way, but the way it's super glossy, very, the way they do the lighting and it's just, I think this one's going to be a really big hit. And I do think this is a massive, good series to bring in for Disney Plus. Looking at, because I'd be honest, there's a thing of like, okay, that sounds good. Pop the story up. It just went bonkers and was like, okay, that is one to watch, because the reactions to this, it's hitting the audience of what that signed in, classic fans, big female audience, very, very popular. This one is a big one. This is kind of like, to me, I feel like this could be one of the biggest series on Disney Plus for that audience, maybe weren't interested in the Mandalorian or the Marvel stuff. This is a whole different audience, like the Lizzie McGuire, or and I think this one's going to be a big one. So I definitely think that one was a good one going forward. We're also getting a few other things. We've got a few other things dropping in from like Marvel animation stuff, like Heroes United. Some of the Marvel Rising stuff's hitting in mid-February. Then we are getting a new series, obviously, of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, starting the third week of February. Again, big audience, very different to maybe the fairy tale weddings. But those are two big series I think they're going to be really boosting up Disney Plus at the tail end of February. Also, then getting the second season of Resistance, because that ends like this last week.
It ended. It ended.
Yeah, I think it literally just ended because I remember the trailer came out. So there again, that's just ended, and now it's on there. But there again, that's where I keep saying they need to drop this stuff weekly. Then end of February, we're then getting another couple more imagination moves, some Japanese Marvel animation stuff, and then we get a new series called Shop Class, which is a new competition all about building stuff. And in the first episode, they've got to build a mini golf thing. So we've got 3 new series dropping in February. We've got a new movie, Timmy Failure. So each week for the next 4 weeks, we've got something new. We've got Timmy Failure first week. Second week is Disney Fairy Tale Weddings. Then we've got Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and then we got Shop Class. So each week throughout February, we're going to be getting something new and different joining. So by the time we hit the end of February, we've got 3 new shows. It's that kind of thing, because obviously, like for me, I would be like, right, what's new this week? And the last 3 months have been dominated by this group of shows. They've all come to an end now. We've got a fresh new batch, so it's all going to like refresh up a bit. But it'll be quite nice, I think, in the next few weeks where we've actually have got some new shows. Clone Wars for me is definitely a highlight. I'll obviously try out the other shows, Family Weddings, the Fairy Tale Weddings. I might see if I can get my wife to watch them, see if she enjoys them. Timmy Failure, that'll be straight up. We'll be watching that on Friday when that drops. So February's looking a little bit more focused than I think January. January just really was just like the scraps left over from pre-launch. It was, because I think Encore and The World According to Jeff Goldblum weren't pulling anybody new in. This is why Netflix drops shows constantly, because there's actually statistic reasons of new shows bring people in. Existing shows don't bring anybody new in, but they maybe keep people subscribed. But there is that thing of new is bigger and better, and it's. I do think February's looking a little bit nicer than January did.
Definitely, there's a couple back catalog items coming in there too, which is nice as well. Not a whole lot that I'm super interested, but ones that people will want to have on the network, like Descendants 3. I know,
and that's really popular. That must be one of the most requested things I've had come through. Where is it? What is it doing? That's a really big one. Splash as well. That one's going to be good. I did think the lineup.
Was a weird one. Sorry.
Yeah, I remember Splash was just one of those movies I watched a lot when I was a kid. But I actually thought it's like when you look at how much stuff dropped in January on the library. When I look at February, I go, "Ooh!" It's like I like them spreading it out more, a bit more like daily or weekly, rather than the big. I think that big drop at the beginning of the month doesn't. I don't think it helps. I think the drip feed is better in the long run. They still need that recently added on what's new option in there, but. Yeah, January's kind of was they dropped loads of stuff in there. I mean, as per usual, anything with Disney Plus, if they say this is coming in, 25 people will ask for everything that wasn't on the list. But generally, I was quite surprised there wasn't as much stuff on there that I was expecting. But I think they're going to have to work that out. But generally, So February's got a little bit better lineup, I think, than maybe what we originally thought.
Yeah, and I would also guess that February might be where some of the planning would have happened after the launch of Disney Plus, at least stateside. So some of these could be done with customer feedback based on what they got from that. Because obviously, if you come in December or January and you go, there's not enough new content. Well, they can't exactly just go out and film the content and release it in January. You've got to. You have to spend the time producing it and so on. So even though I'm sure they got a lot of feedback in January of like new content, something to replace The Mandalorian, keep going. It
takes time.
They would have had to make that decision this time last year.
Yeah, it should be. I think going forward, they're probably a bit more lined up in terms of how they're doing it. The rollout of Disney Plus, that was always the thing of trying to get it, and they've got to line it up. They've got to sort out what they're doing. Just as I was about to go to bed last night, there was news that they have that the CEO of Hulu, Randy Freer, is stepping down from his role as basically the whole of Hulu is now moving under the direct-to-consumer business. I think the people that are doing the creative side of Hulu are now kind of reporting to the people at ABC Studios and that hold the creative department. But yeah, there's a lot of movement going around in Hulu now of moving that into the same department as Disney Plus and ESPN. So I think we'll start seeing a little bit more what the plan, and they're talking about the international rollout for Hulu. It looks very much along the line of, the words that they said last night seem like, Hulu, they've got a plan for this and to get things out and this whole bundle system. And I think they want to make that whole thing go out international of just offering the two things together. And I don't think it's going to take too long. I think now they've kind of got that out the way. But yeah, a lot of stuff is changing over at Disney at the minute. It seems like January was like changeover month. The 20th Century Studios, one of the top people in that company's stepped aside. There's Fox, what was Fox, is moving to a smaller release window of only having like 4 or 5 major titles a year rather than the huge amount, and then Searchlight is doing their things. There's a lot of movement of shifting everybody around. They recently announced they're selling off Fox Next, which is a video game studio that we predicted this years ago. Once Disney had got their hands on it, they want to get rid of that. They've been in for 6 months to a year. Now it's time to make it theirs now, and it's all kind of coming in.
They have to fulfill all the New Year's resolutions that they made. To swap everything over.
It definitely it does. I mean, this whole thing. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more mix up between Hulu and Disney Plus in terms of offering it as a bundle. A bit more promotion for that. Once they've worked out what they're doing with 20th Century Studios and Searchlight and ABC and Freeform, and it's a powerhouse. The thing is now we're very much going to look at the two of them together. Are the combination to go up against Netflix and HBO Max, and just the wording that they put out yesterday. You ain't planning on launching Hulu globally if you're looking at merging them or doing anything like that. You wouldn't be doing that now.
No, and this way, bundling them up, packaging them, kind of gets past the whole you need a Mandalorian replacement for Disney Plus. Like, well, there's Hulu right over here with a whole bunch of stuff right up your alley. It's already there.
Yeah, and I think it's really sort of strange because we have a lot of discussions on the Facebook group, which we just hit way over 100,000 members now. A lot of discussion about adult content on Disney Plus, and there's a real split of a huge audience of Disney Plus that do not want anything slightly edgy. Nothing. Everything is, the Disney brand, and the Disney brand means something to them that is very much like, it is all the fairy tale weddings. The Disney is very much in this bracket, and then you've got this whole other people there going, well, Disney make all this other cool stuff that I want to watch, and it's not on here. And I can only put this down to really, and I think this has really happened in the last 10 years. Marvel and Star Wars they've introduced that into the Disney brand, and it's brought in a whole other audience. And we're looking at things like Touchstone and Fox and all the rest of it and kind of going, well, I like all this stuff. Put it in here as well because it's Disney. And I think, we're a lot more used to that concept now. There's a whole other people now used to the idea that a big corporation can have lots of different, when we go to the parks, you have Tower of Terror and you have different aspects, and Disney want that, but at the same time they don't want it. It's like a really weird thing that Warner Brothers and Comcast don't have that same issue with.
Yeah, but Disney is also built so much on the brand.
Yeah,
Comcast it's a name, Universal, but you don't go, oh, Universal, they make these movies. They make the Fast and the Furious movies, so all of the movies that Universal makes are Fast and the Furious movies. No, they have a whole range from top to bottom, where Disney is very definitively, these are the princess stories, these are the family-friendly animated movies, the kind of quirky middle road live action movies, and that's their brand. And you don't get that with HBO. Even HBO doesn't necessarily have like a brand. You could argue they're the mature content where you can curse and have nudity and extreme violence, but they also have Sesame Street. They don't have a very specific
No,
HBO is The Sopranos. HBO is Westworld. It doesn't work that way.
no. I think this is where the kind of the combination is really going to work well if they can get that wording out. I think once they get the HBO deal this year out the way, so they can get these Searchlight and the 20th Century Studio stuff all lined up, and they can work out what they're doing. I still think like Freeform is that kind of weird thing right now where it's feeding into Hulu rather than, and it's like looking at that, there's some shows that are a little bit more like teenaged stuff of like, if they could get that into Disney Plus, I think it would help. It's like that kind of at the minute, it's like going towards Hulu, but it's like they've got to get that line just right. And I do feel I can look at it, and as I said, we can look at this as Star Wars and Marvel fans and going, yeah, we need something a bit more meatier than what we're getting on Disney Plus, because we've been, that whole audience has been brought into the Disney brand, and it's like, well, yeah, you're promising this kind of content, and it's not there. Because and I sort of replied to some people going, if you came in for The Mandalorian, you've only got Carter, you've got Runaways, you've got a few other series and stuff, but there is not as much big high drama on Disney Plus as I was hoping there would be.
Right. And it would be a mistake to assume that, that kind of high drama or the interconnected long form storytelling requires it to be specifically for an adult audience or to include adult content of some sort, violence, whatever. You can definitely do long form storytelling and keep it kid friendly and keep it all ages. Some of the Clone Wars stuff works really well with that. The Rebels series works really well with that. Gravity Falls works really well with that. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got, Darkwing Duck, which was Monster of the Week.
Yeah, you've got to find that line, and I think they're gonna find that over the time. But there's no point, the way I look at it, there is real criticism from people about this, and I understand, and I think it's that kind of thing. Like, yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from, because it's, as that age demographic, I can kind of go, yeah, I completely get it. And people go, well, you can watch Raven's World and Hannah Montana. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to watch Hannah Montana reruns. That's not what I want to watch. Stream service is about lots of different people and offering. It's the way I look at it. It's more of like a family buffet restaurant where you go in and it's a buffet, and everyone can pick and choose what they like and how they like, and there has to be a nice offering of different things. Some people might want to go and sit and have the steak. Other people might want the tofu. Everyone wants different things, and they've got to get that just about right for everyone to be happy. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, moving forward. I think by the end of the year, when we've got those other big series, and I'm hoping we start seeing a few more bits and pieces and things speed up. But definitely interesting, I thought, with the whole shifting around of Hulu. I think we're going to start seeing a much more focused from them of what's going on with there, because that's, the way they're doing stuff as well. Like, they're dropping the new High Fidelity show in a couple of weeks onto Hulu, the whole season at once. Will they carry on with that, or will they start going, actually, no, we're going to follow the same way that Disney Plus is doing it. That will work maybe better. Different audience. I mean, I can say that Netflix dropped an entire season of a show called The Stranger this week. I got through the whole season in I did 6 episodes yesterday. I finished. It was such a great show. We watched it, but we binged it, watched the whole season in 2 days. But that's it now. We won't go back to it. And there's that line of what they've got to do with all of this stuff.
Yeah, and Hulu's actually done it both ways in the past, where some of the shows will come out each week and sometimes they drop them entirely. I would like them to standardize it. That'd be kind of nice, actually.
Yeah. So just moving on there from a few things before we get into some of the review stuff. Apparently the Willow series is kind of underway in terms of writing. Both Warwick Davis and Ron Howard have both been out publicly talking about the fact that the show is not technically greenlit. All the people have coming together, and they're writing the script right now. No, I don't think contracts have been signed. It's all going to be taking place after the movies. Kind of, I was like, for people that, if you keep saying it's like not greenlit, but at the same time you're telling us what they're doing, it was like, you're trying to build up hype for it to make sure we get the sign. It's like, it was a bit, I was just like, that's a really weird kind of thing. Well, we haven't technically started it, but we've done this, we're doing this, we've got this presence coming in. It's you're giving us a little bit conflicted, but I definitely feel like that is more a case of them making sure this series goes ahead by making sure there's enough interest that they feel before it gets signed.
Yeah, it could certainly be that, but I don't think they have to worry about this with
No.
this series. I mean, I realize that it's not necessarily like one of the pinnacle
Mm,
1980s movies, even within the genre,
mm.
but it's got enough recognition where you can go, oh no, we've got it. I think what is it? Dark Crystal over on
Yeah.
Netflix proved that you can kind of tap into that 80s nostalgia, even if it's not a persistent brand that most people. Oh yeah, I need to watch Dark Crystal right now or Willow right
Mm.
now.
And I also think as well, this series fits exactly into what we were just talking about. It's big, high drama series for Disney Plus, and it fits. This would hit a different audience, but this is the kind of content people like. The high quality drama is such a big draw for streaming services, and what brings people in. And yeah, Willow is one of those ones I think will be a big hit for them. Again, just a few other bits pieces again on Star Wars, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Um, they say it's on hold. It's gone back for more writing. Filming was supposed to start in July, but it's been moved back to January. Ewan McGregor was at the Birds of Prey press event and kind of shut down the rumors that the show's been cancelled and is on hold and it's delayed. And he said, "Oh no, we just pushed back filmings to January, and it will still be at the same time as normal, and it's not going to affect the viewer at all. They just need some extra." And I was like, it has been delayed. It has been pushed back. And if you're pushing back filming by 6 months, this is Star Wars. It needs a lot more work on the back end. I still think it's going to get pushed back a little bit, even though he said it won't. He's just looking at going. The only other good thing is they could spend the next 6 months doing a lot of the visual effects before they actually film, but it's very tricky for them to do.
Yeah, and there's no way they're going to abandon this unless like
Hmm.
Ewan McGregor backs out completely.
Yeah.
There's too much hype for this.
Yeah.
People want it done, and I could see them actually throwing some extra resources at it just to
Speed it up.
keep it on track.
Yeah. I felt that like One Division's moved forward. I think the trouble is we had like One Division moved up, and then we had Lizzie McGuire and Obi-Wan Kenobi talks. So that's all going on hold. It was like, well, hold on a minute, what's going over there? Why is this happening? So they're gonna have to sort these things out, because again, all the big drama stuff. This is what the people want. These are the series that are bringing people in. It's funny that again, Willow, Hillary, the Lizzie McGuire and all the big stories that grab the attention are the big, hard dramas. That's what people, ultimately seem to be more drawn to. There's lots of other bits and pieces of news, but obviously this one, we've got quite a few bits of things to talk about here. So let's move into some what we've been watching. Let's talk first off about Lamp Life, the new Pixar short that arrived yesterday, which is like a story between Toy Story 2 and Story 4. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed it well enough. It was fine for what it was. I actually enjoyed it was animated well.
Yeah.
The story was interesting enough, nothing too special, but it was executed well. So, if you're a Toy Story fan, and I think a lot of people watching are, definitely watch it if you haven't yet. Don't expect anything like huge. It's not like she went off and had some massive adventure involving world domination or something like that. It's a lot closer to Jesse's story from Toy Story 2. Just expanded out a little bit more past that.
I'll be honest, I was like, yeah. I just watched it. I was like, okay, well, what was the point? I was sort of watching and going, it's like, it just felt so average. It felt so safe. It just didn't feel very interesting. It's like, I don't think Bo Peep was a very interesting character in Toy Story 1 and 2. She was just a side love interest. Toy Story 4, she was a much more interesting character because they kind of made her a bit more edgy. But this, I sort of watched it and they could have done this in a 20-second montage in the movie.
They could have, but I think it was better them doing it this way. And there are some aspects to Bo Peep which set her apart from some of the other toys. Like, she's not actually a toy, which was a kind of a theme of this.
Which I never realized before.
Yeah, she's a lamp, and the sheep are part of this lamp. I mean, she's not physically a lamp; she's a centerpiece for the lamp. So it's different for her because once she got out of Andy's room and once she stopped getting played with by Andy's little sister, she stopped being a toy. She became a statue functionally, which I thought was actually kind of interesting take on it. And, you know, we don't see very much in Toy Story how people treat their toys outside of either Andy's room or the little girl from Toy Story 4. We get little glimpses, but we never see this transition of the toy going from person to person to person to person, family to family to family. You know, she's on a boat, she's in the Antarctica or Alaska or wherever it is, and
or as I like to call it, more of it goes from packaging to toy to bin.
Right. Well, I mean, that was part of it too, though.
Yeah.
You know, getting donated.
Yeah.
That they could have gone deeper with it. They could have gone more explicit with the meaning and kind of added depth to it, but that wasn't really the point of it. It was really just, hey, here's some of Bo Peep's little adventures. Now, if they wanted to expand on it, or if they wanted to do like a sequel series to Toy Story 4 to show some of the adventures that they have after Toy Story 4, I'd be behind that.
Yeah. I just watched it and I was just like, oh man, it's so it was just so average. And that was the problem for me. It didn't excite me. I don't really think I laughed. It was just kind of one of those things where it felt like a DVD extra.
But the other thing to keep in mind, of course, is that we're watching this immediately after watching the Short Circuit shorts.
Yeah.
And those are very experimental.
Yeah.
Very different. Some good, some less so. But they're coming from this from a very different angle. And Lamp Life was never going to be experimental. No. Whether that's a negative or a positive is up to each person. But this was always just going to be in the same vein as Toy Stories 1 through 4, which are pretty typical stories, just executed well.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I just watched this one and I was like, just didn't. I mean, it could have been. I think we had a flurry of different stuff last week, which was all kind of like different and interesting and kind of leads into that. And we might as well do that bit now with the short circuits of. They had some, you know, we had 14 shorts dropped for them, and they were all over the place. They were interesting. They were different. They had ones that I liked, ones that I didn't like. Things like puddles. I thought puddles was really good. The way of him jumping in and out of the puddles. Graphically, it looked different. It was exciting. I love the story, the idea of the fact that the girl is on her phone and he just wants attention, and you know she's caught up in it. And then we had like Lucky to Pay, which I thought was great with, you know, being bold and the whole reference of that. And I mean, these leprechauns keep stealing my hair. And there was something about this one. And the one that got me was Cycles, which was in this house of just telling this house the story of them going through that house. I mean, I literally got to the end of that one. I'm like wiping the tears away because it's like, it felt it, you know, that feeling of like with my grandparents and all the rest of it. And it brought me in. It hit a subject. I mean, it wasn't quite as bad as what we watched, A Dog's Journey this week. Man, we were in tears like half the movie. But there's that kind of thing of this brought out an emotion. It tapped into something and it had something to it. And there's quite a few of the Spark shorts that I think had that. You know, I remember with as well the race. You know, with him running from death, and all he wanted to do was see his wife or his girlfriend at the end, and that's all he wanted. And there was that kind of, it tapped into something, and that's where these shorts, you know, something like Loop and, you know, all these ones from the Spark shorts, they were able to hit on something. And there again, Lamp Life didn't have anything like that because it was safe, predictable, big franchise, just continue selling these characters, whereas Short Circuit was so much more able to kind of tell. There's some of them that I didn't really like, I'll be honest. But what about you? What one stood out to you?
So first thing first, actually, here in the States, I don't know why, one of the shorts is missing.
I think there's a drop. The drop, I think it was some musical issues. I think they're editing it to put it back together. Again, how you can make a 2-minute short about rain, I don't know. But
hey, you know what? I don't know because I haven't seen it. So for the shorts that we did get, the other 13, There weren't any that I loved, but there also weren't any that I hate. They all were kind of just middle ground for me.
Mm.
Like you mentioned Puddles, it was
Yeah.
okay. I really liked Lucky Toupee. We agree on that
Mm.
one. That was actually one of my favorites. It was just so strange
Random.
but fun. It was fun. Cycles, I did not connect with Cycles, and I probably should because my parents are selling the home that I grew up in.
Yeah.
You know, they've had that home for 35-ish years. And I watched Cycles. I was like, I don't connect to this at all because my parents are selling the house. I'm just like, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Make sure that my stuff's not in it or in a storage unit so I can pick it up later. And
No,
that is my full emotional connection with them selling my childhood home.
yeah, it's strange because I mean, obviously going through it, but even my wife, the other one, we know she went through all of them, and that was like, oh, that was so sad. You know, it was. I mean, I think the graphic wise, because originally Cycles was like a virtual reality short, and so they kind of adjusted it for. It probably could have done with a different style of artwork because I think the story was good enough on the. But even just the fact of him getting the creator getting his mum to do the music for it, you know,
That
it
was
was.
a nice touch.
I just that one did hit a personal note. But what other ones sort of stood out to you?
So one of my favorites, or I'll save the favorites for last. The only one that got a laugh out of me was Hair Jutsu. The little girl afraid of the haircut, and it was the final scene. No spoilers for people, but it's the final scene where you think everything's done, and then there's a little quick gag at the end. That got me laughing. None of the other shorts I laughed at. None of them. But that's going to be an individual thing. So I enjoyed that one.
See, that one actually, I was to say that one there, Jiu-Jitsu was probably my second to last kind of. It was very much the low end of just like going, okay, that was okay. It was a bit more safe, a bit more like Lamp Life in terms of a bit more. It was fine, but it was probably my second to last favorite.
Right. And then I enjoyed Zenith, which was the one with the horse. Wasn't a particularly good one in its own right, but I got a lot of like Fantasia vibes out of it, which I mean, I also saw the short little intro on it, so I knew that going in. But I really enjoyed it. It was visually entertaining. The music was nice.
It was probably I think the most artistic one. It was more of an art. It was very arty, very experimental, and something that you just. I didn't really think the story was. There wasn't as much there.
There wasn't a story.
No, it looked stunning, but there wasn't really anything to it. But I like the art style that they had for it.
And that and the Chinese one that for me came right before Zenith because that's where the water droplet one would have slotted in, but we didn't have it. I'm gonna pronounce this wrong because I don't speak Chinese and I don't know the dialect, but Jinghao, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
It was very artistic. It was a very nice piece. The story was good too. It was another one of those ones that was emotional for the creator.
I was the kind of thing because it was a very similar story to Cycles. It was about his grandparents and all, and artistically it was beautiful. I love that whole Chinese style. Kind of did remind me of because I've been somewhere in China where it was the mountains, and I have brought artwork that's got that particular style of the watercolors, and it had something about it that I was intrigued with. It looked different. It was exciting. It was traditional, but it was also different, and I like that. I like that about that one.
And then I'll jump to the last two, which are Elephant in the Room and Fetch. Those were my two favorites, easily.
Yeah. Fetch to me felt like the most like Disney Pixar one. It looked like a Disney Pixar short. It had that whole character and the kid. It was again a very traditional Pixar short to me.
Right, and the color palette, the designs, they all look like Brave. You could have slotted this into Brave, no problem.
Yeah, that to me was one of those ones. If you're going like, okay, watch one of these, this one is a good one. Very, kids are going to love it. I love the whole the monster. He's so cute and adorable. Elephant in the Room. I love that one. I thought that the art style again, very bright and colorful, but very good message about wild animals and being what's going on right now, and Yeah, again, that was very good. Drop was hopefully that will be on there soon. That one was just strange with this like raindrop coming down and bouncing around, and yeah, that was just odd. The other one that I thought, for example, Downtown was very. It was an odd one because it didn't again have a story. It was just like this guy running through the city in all the paint. It kind of reminded me of like a combination of Splatoon, the video game, and Spider-Man, the video game. It was just like mixing them all together and just running through the city and covering everything in paint. Odd, looked great. Don't know why. It was just one of those weird ones.
It was very visually appealing. This one actually could have fallen into Fantasia territory as well, because it was very much the mixing of art and music.
Yeah, lightning in a bottle. Fun, nice, easy, average kind of kid friendly. It was fine. It looked like a proper it looked like a Pixar short in terms of how it was done. Very simple, very nice. It just lost in the middle somewhere for me. It was that kind of thing of nothing wrong with it, but it didn't excite me. I think there again, this is what I've probably said this quite a few times with these shots. There's the ones that are experimental that make no sense. There's the ones that have got a very strong story, and if you connect with them, they connect with you. And then you've got ones that are much more like maybe traditional Pixar stuff. And there's a definite mix. I really enjoyed this. There's the one thing I didn't like about these whole thing. I didn't like the intro at the beginning of them. It's like that needed to be in extras or needed to be a separate thing. I thought it disrupted the flow of watching them. My wife was like, why do they keep talking at the front of each one? Like, in some ways it helps because I remember like when we've talked about the Spark shorts of having, you maybe miss that thing, but sometimes I would prefer it at the end. So it's like you can watch it without being told what the story is beforehand. It kind of like sets it up so they don't have to, you kind of know it before you go into it.
Yeah, I was kind of annoyed by it too. At least on the PC, I watched it on my computer. It had the skip intro button, which was nice. So it would go straight to the actual short. I was honestly more annoyed by the credits. There's not much you can do about that. I mean, it's legally mandated and it's part of the whole international agreement, so there's no way they could not do it. But the credits were longer than the intro and the short combined in almost all.
There is something about Disney Plus, and I don't know if it's just, but do you get all like the Netherlands or this like this massive block of credits on every single thing you watch, of the audio of every single country of where it all is, and that's just going to keep growing. And it's the credits on so many Lamp Life, there must have been like 4 minutes of credits, and it's, I don't know what's going on. It's like, why they're showing you globally every single person that's worked on it. It needs, I don't know, they've got to do something with a button to flip to skip it or something, but they need to work on this because I know it legally has to be there, but it's,
and I think it depends on how you watch it, what app you use. Because again, I watched on the computer, and skip intro came up on the intro, and then also when the movie was done and when the movie's credits were done, those are the ones that are done in the style of the movie, and then they moved to the international credits, which we're talking about here. It would actually it would move down the screen to the bottom, and the little the next short will start playing in 10, 9, 8 would pop up on the screen. As long as I let that happen, it would only take 10 seconds for the next one to start. But I don't know how it'd be on some of the apps, or if you're doing it on your Xbox or whatever.
I think it's more just like, I think because it's annoying at the minute because of the way I've got it set up, but it just feels like, they've got to tweak this a bit. They've got to kind of, because it's only going to get worse if they start having to add more countries into it, of maybe how they've set it up in terms of, I was like, I didn't know whether or not because I had the Netherlands app installed, that was what was causing it. But if you're getting it as well, I was like, okay, they did for these short things. This is where it's, you watch a 2-hour movie, it's one thing, but to suddenly have a 2-minute short with 4 minutes of credits and a 3-minute intro, it was quite stretched out.
And what's interesting is they include those credits in the runtime. So when you are looking at the list, you're like, oh, Spark Short, 6 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes. No, it's actually 2 minutes with a 1.5-minute intro and 3.5 minutes of credits, which isn't that big a deal. Obviously, you're not wasting a whole lot of time, even if you watch the intro and the short. It's 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, that's not actually the runtime, is it?
My big problem for that is, as an adult, it's not a problem. I just think as a kid, you just want them to be able to get in and get out. Get straight to the meat and veg. I would have got happily have personally. I would have liked to have watched them all and had the extras with those intros. Like they did with Spark Shorts. I've have them separate. I didn't like that whole idea of putting them first. I know why. Sometimes it kind of helped explain what was going on beforehand, so you kind of instantly went into it. But I should be able to see this and make that opinion on my own thought of whether or not I make that connection. Because if I get to the end of a short and go, I don't know what that was about, and then I watch something, this happened and this represents this and this, like, okay, I see that now, but I shouldn't have had to been told that before I watched it.
Right. And yeah, I would have swapped them around. And honestly, as long as it would satisfy the legal requirements, I'd almost just do it as a straight audio over the credits of them. Once you get to the international credits, there might be a rule against that or in their contract where no, the credits have to be the only thing on screen. They have to be the only focus. But that would have been a nice way of kind of combining the two things.
Yeah, I think they've definitely got to fix this, because obviously as it rolls out internationally, it's only going to get longer. It just feels like they've got to try and tweak this a bit, because I don't recall seeing this on anything else. I mean, maybe that whole kind of end credit thing, they need to bulk out a bit more, or maybe even start running trailers or something in between at the end in the corners or something, just to kind of break it up a bit. Because it's easier when you've got the app and you can just press it, but for me, I've got to literally get off the couch, climb over, get the phone, press the button. I literally, for watching Short Circuit, I literally just had to sit on the floor with my iPhone plugged into the TV. It was just like, I can't, this is just, because otherwise it would have taken 4 hours to watch the shorts. But that's like, again, it's a technical issue of like, they've got to tweak it. I really thought this Short Circuit system was a great drop. I thought it was a really good system to kind of get people in, get stuff trying out, some experiments. I really enjoyed this whole process. Same thing with Spark Shorts, but they need to tweak how they're presenting it. I think the way they did Spark Shorts was better than Short Circuit. I think
I think one of the things that might have been able to pull off would be actually combining all the the Short Circuit shorts into a single, like, what would it be, 30-something minute thing. And that is sure that you still got to do the credits for every single one, which just means that credit section expands exponentially at the end too. But at least you don't break it up. At least you can just sit down and watch each of the shorts.
Yeah, I mean, even if they did it, just like have them all available individually and then just have the one file with all of them mixed up together in like a greatest hits kind of like a short collection, and then have all it's like looking at it from like us as adults, where we're looking at it going, okay, that's fine, it's a bit annoying, but whatever. But I just imagine as a kid or a parent that would be quite if you're sitting there and I go, right, do you want to watch Fetch again? Okay, well, we're gonna have to skip through this. And whereas you could put on Spark, one of the Spark Shorts or another short and just kind of jump in and get out kind of thing. It's hardly the quick way of getting into a short.
Yeah, but I'll also say, it's kind of telling that the biggest complaint we have is about the format in which it's presented rather than with any of the Sparks. Because even the ones that I didn't really get into, I didn't feel bad watching them. I thought they were perfectly enjoyable. Even the ones that maybe didn't appeal to me, they had something in them where you can go, oh, the art style, and that's really cool. Or like the alternate take, like the second one, Exchange Student. I think we both agreed it's not a particularly good one. The art looks rushed. The animation, it's not doing 24 frames per second. So it's got kind of a jumpy, but there were still parts of it. Like the actual aesthetic was interesting. The story was fun. I wouldn't say like completely skip it. I would just say it's not as good as the other ones are. It
was my least favorite, was that one. I thought it was the weakest one of them all. It just didn't feel on the same level of quality as the rest of them.
It's like they played that one a little too safe, and then they didn't have the animation to back it up.
Yeah. Because I thought, for example, Puddles, not Puddles, just a Fort. The aesthetic of that one there, of it looking like it came off of a newspaper, the animation style of that worked so well. And I thought that one worked. I mean, yeah, the story was a bit corny, but the animation style worked, and that one really helped.
I actually kind of liked that one too, because the basic story type for it is very familiar.
Yeah.
It's heck, you could probably pick almost like 90% of the tweenager shows, like the one we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Diary of a Future President. This storyline goes in there perfectly, but I liked the little twist of it being the thought bubbles and people being able to see the thought bubbles, which as a kid, having your first crush would just be absolutely mortifying. Like, never, don't show your face in school because that'd be terrible. But it was really well done. I like that.
But I think I really like that like newspaper feel to it. Mm-hmm. It felt like you were, even though the grain on the screen. Again, this is that whole thing with this whole process of looking at these shorts and being able to go, this is good, this is nice. Oh, they've tried something different here. They tried that didn't work, but that worked. And you can kind of, they're allowed to kind of try some stuff out, bring some new people in. And then when you look at something like Lamp Life and you go, nothing quite having them so close together, or you were like going, well, I actually really much preferred the Short Circuit stuff to Lamp Life. And I think that is, maybe telling us more as like an adult and stuff, going, I kind of want something a bit fresh, a bit different, a bit interesting, rather than just a bit of extra fluff. And I think that was the issue with this. And also with the great, you look at all the Spark shorts over the past few months that have been dropping, I would much rather have somebody watched even what I would consider maybe the weaker ones of Spark shorts compared to Lamp Life. I just think they were better short. They were much better story, much more interesting, because Lamp Life just was just bland. And that's we've had over 21 Disney Plus original shorts in the last 3 months. And if you asked me to order them, Lamp Life would be down in the bottom 3, and that's not good considering that's the main one they were pushing.
But again, the intent behind it is very different. The point of Spark Shorts and the point of Short Circuit are to give people a chance to experiment, to try new things. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. Lamp Life is targeting something completely different. This is you're not going to be experimental with Toy Story. You're going to go safe with Toy Story. But I agree, putting it out the week after Short Circuit was kind of like, you're sending a bit of a mixed message. You're setting the wrong expectations here. They should have had a little bit of time in between them. I think even if Lamp Life had come the week before Short Circuit, you'd probably have a better view of it. I mean, you still wouldn't be going, this is Oscar short of the year. This is the greatest thing ever. But you'd probably be a little more forgiving of it playing safe. Whereas now you've seen these other ones who are like, no, this is what could have.
Yeah, I mean, even Kit Bull has actually been nominated for an Oscar. This is the level of like what I'm looking at with the Spark shorts. I'm going, these are considered to be Oscar. They're an Oscar nominated product in there. They've been raised, and that that's just, it's a big difference of. And you look at like in the past, how many of those Pixar shorts have been Oscar level? How many of them have been nominated over the years and have won? And Lamp Life is just nowhere in that same ballpark, because it's just, again, it's nice, predictable, good stuff. If you're a Toy Story fan, you're going to love it, but it didn't push any boundaries and didn't do an interesting story. And I think with Pixar shorts, that's what you expect.
Well, it all depends, because you also look at stuff like Mike's New Car, which was the Monsters Incorporated short. It's just a gag reel. It's literally just Mike's car beating him up. So it's different things. Like the ones that are attachments to movies are different versus say Tin Toy or the Snowman one, where it's the snowman in the snow globe and he tries to escape thing. They're different objectives, they're different styles. And it's not, like I said, it's not a great short. It's not something that you need to immediately go and watch, but I do want to see more of these, because it does at least give us that tiny little glimpse into Bo Peep and what she's been through and what the sheep have been through. And even if it's not like mind blowing, it expands that universe just a little bit. And I'd love to see more of these, like, with what's the movie coming out with Chris Pratt and Tom Holland?
Oh, Onward.
Onward, right. I started seeing merchandise for that at my local Disney store, actually. It would be cool to see a little short pop up on Disney Plus where we get maybe not those two characters, but maybe we get the bar worker that we see in the trailer. Just a little story with her.
I mean, traditionally, like with Toy Story's actually had quite a lot of shorts over the years. I know when I was sat in the Toy Story hotel in Shanghai back in December, and they had the TV there with all the shorts running, as the Hawaiian one and the dinosaur one and a few other ones. And I think, like, I think because I've only recently seen them again, that was the thing of, like, when they were like 20-minute, half an hour shorts, and there was a whole story to it, and they were in a different environment and all the rest of it. And I think, again, if you like those there, Lamp Life is going to fit into that. But I was getting it because I was just interested in, because I just had a quick look just to have a look and see like Oscar nominated ones, and the Mike's New Car was actually nominated for a Best Short Film. It didn't win.
Really?
Yeah, and it was in as a DVD exclusive award. But then I look here at like the Pixar history of ones that were nominated, things like La Luna, Sanjay Super Team, Piper, Lou. Interesting ones that weren't were like Doug's Special Mission, Bernie, Party Central didn't actually get any nominations. So it's a very easy one of seeing ones that were nominated weren't. But yeah, there's some really good shorts out there, and I would definitely recommend to everyone on Disney Plus, go into movies, into the search for option, go into movies, and then click the shorts section, because I don't think enough people are going in there and knowing about how it's found, because they hide them away. Unless if you were browsing for them, they're not so good. But if you go in there, you'll see there's hundreds of shorts, and I did do an article, and every month I put out an article of like my top 50 shorts that are available on Disney Plus. There's so much great stuff on there, and some of them are really good quality. And I know next month that the whole list is going to have a complete reshuffle with Short Circuit dropping in, putting a few of them in there. But that's one of the good things I think with Disney Plus is the shorts. There's so much great content in there, and I'm really hoping we see a lot more of this, because so far shorts. I mean, I know we got there's a new one like something Labs picked. There's going to be a new Labs one coming later this year. But yeah, overall, great stuff to have all of this on there. And it's, like I said, the last 2 weeks have all been dominated by these shorts on Disney Plus, and definitely give them a go. Don't write them off just because they're shorts. I mean, that pretty much wraps up. The Clone Wars trailer before we head off. You excited for the Clone Wars trailer? Did you see that one?
I mean, what kind of silly question is that? Of course I'm excited for the Clone Wars. I've been excited for the Clone Wars since the Clone Wars ended the last time, and the time it ended before that as well. Clone Wars, obviously, I'm super excited for it. Resistance finished up this past week, so now we're in the Star Wars drought until Clone Wars pops in. And it might also be a reminder of why Resistance doesn't stand up next to Rebels and Clone Wars, honestly. I mean, the finale was fine. I'm talking about Resistance here. The finale was fine, but it never reached any of the heights that Rebels or Clone Wars did. Even at its best points, it was still kind of middle ground area. So I'm looking forward to seeing this final season of Clone Wars and hoping that it recaptures some of that magic of the mid-season stuff.
I know when I was watching the trailer, there was a certain point like goosebumps kind of went, oh, that's, it's like, oh yeah, that's good. It's like, if you don't get that, I don't get that very often, but occasionally when something like that drops, you go, okay, they've managed to, there's little nods to stuff that's happening in Rebels, and they know what they're doing, and they're kind of finishing off the whole thing, hopefully more than likely setting up the new series that's coming later down the line. But it definitely feels like it's Ahsoka's story rather than Anakin, because we know what's happening with that, but they have to kind of maybe get her ready for Rebels. I think that seems to be the main thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of the advantage of being able to do this after Rebels ran through, because now they have storylines that they would not have had previously. And that also includes the Ahsoka book that came out a couple of years ago, because that covered a couple of storylines as well. And Yeah, I'm just really excited for Clone Wars,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, actually, that just reminded me. I don't know if I've got the Ahsoka book. I think it was on my list of
I,
books because
I will recommend it's a solid book. Nothing particularly like super major in it, although there's some fun little nods, like you learn how she gets her silver blades. If you're gonna read it though, I highly recommend doing the audiobook because it is narrated by uh, Ashley
Ashley's,
Eckstein,
yeah,
who
yeah.
of course voiced Ahsoka and all of this. So even if you don't normally do audiobooks, the audiobook version of Ahsoka is the way to go.
Yeah, because I've got a nice beach holiday coming up, so I want to have like. There's a few books I want to read. The new Tarkin one. I think I got the. There's also the. Oh, what's his name? Fawn. One of his.
Thrawn.
I've read. Yeah, I've read a couple of those novels. I love those ones, and I also want to read Bob Iger's autobiography. So they're all on my Kindle, ready for my holiday. So it's gonna be. Let's sit down and just enjoy some Star Wars novels while I'm sat on the beach. But yeah, so that's definitely on the thing. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this series. I'm liking the weekly drop because I'm coming into this differently because I last year binged the entire 6 Clone Wars and the Rebels. So I didn't have that build up to that. I literally watched a lot in like 12 to 18 months. So I feel in a much better position now going into it of like, yeah, it's all fresh in my mind. And that series just continued to get better. But I am really just looking forward to this now. I think again, I'm coming into it late, but I've caught up. And that's the main thing.
Soon you'll get to binge Star Wars Resistance, and it won't take nearly as long because it's only 2 seasons.
Yes, I do need to watch that one because I know they've dropped that one on there. There's quite a few shows now on Disney Plus that I need to kind of sit down and watch and kind of sort out and kind of get through. But nevertheless, let us know what you guys thought of all of the Spark Shorts and the Lamp Life and Short Circuit ones. Let us know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Go check us out over at what's on disneyplus.com. Subscribe on the audio and visual platforms. You can also join our Facebook group as well. You'll find that on Disney Plus. And on that note, guys, we shall see you guys soon. Later.